This is inexcusable, and DiJonai Carrington needs to be suspended for Game 2.
Deets Carrington was suspended for using steroids, and I'm not even shocked. I mean, should we really be shocked that the queen of dirty play was caught red-handed? It seems like she's been playing a cheap shot, not a basketball play, and thinking she's a star. She should have been sent off, and the WNBA should have given her a trophy. Oh wait, they already did. It's called suspension. I mean, who would have thought that the same player who tried to gouge out Caitlin Clark's eyeball would stoop so low? This is just another chapter in Carrington's sad little saga of doing whatever it takes to get ahead because apparently actual talent just isn't her thing. Bravo, DiJonai. You're finally getting the spotlight you so desperately craved, but not the kind that ends with applause.
It was a cheap shot. It was not a basketball play. She should have been ejected.
This is a complete disgrace to the league. Drugs really denies suppose it was just too difficult to gain some muscle the honest way, huh?
Not exaggerating. Caitlin Clark's trying to pass the ball in the first 2 minutes of the game, and this woman swats at the basketball and somehow decides to turn her hand down and her fingernails and jab them right into the eye of Caitlin Clark.
Sincerely, the WNBA ought to be grateful to her for laying out exactly what should be avoided if one wishes to be regarded seriously as a professional athlete. Additionally, can we please discuss the timing? With an average of 12.1 points and 5.3 rebounds per game, Carrington was being heralded as a rising star and promising talent in women's basketball. However, all those stats are officially garbage, and now every single point, rebound, and so-called highlight is shrouded in doubt. Congratulations, Jai, on masterfully turning your entire career into a farce.
There should have been a fine that was incurred thereafter.
However, we must not overlook the true pinnacle of her career to date. The moment the world saw Carrington as lacking not only in talent but also in sportsmanship, class, and ostensibly self-respect. Remember that? Of course you do.
And DiJonai is one of these people that has a real problem with Caitlin Clark.
Seriously, if you can't outshine your opponent, just poke him in the eye during a professional basketball game. What's next, kicking? Was she trained by the Three Stooges or something?
Caitlin Clark was assaulted yesterday in her very first playoff game in the WNBA.
And Carrington's actions had a serious effect on Caitlin Clark. In addition to hurting her physically, Carrington attempted to mentally manipulate her, as if Clark needed more distractions after leading her team to victory. I mean, how pitiful must one be to attempt to remove one of the league's top players simply because one is unable to keep up?
Do you think that had any impact on the game? Do you think that your meal ticket should be stabbed in the eye intentionally on the court?
And now learning that she's been taking steroids all along. Oh, so that's how she thought she could keep up by juicing herself up like a badass superhero movie character. But let's be honest, even with all the assistance from those illegal substances, she's still acting like she has no faith in her own abilities.
Star in the WNBA.
Yeah, obviously got me pretty good in the eye. We struggled to get stops at times, but also like the clock getting messed up. It was just one thing after the next, but yeah, overall, it didn't bother me.
The steroid scandal is just the icing on a long cake of trashy behavior. The WNBA has been fighting to maintain its integrity, and players like Dei are tearing it all down. This isn't just an isolated incident. This is a pattern. She is the kind of player who can't even get through a game without getting into fights and cheap shooting her opponents. Now that we know why she was so eager to get physical on the court, it wasn't just her trying to make a name for herself. The reason for her aggression was probably the roid rage. Fans and players have responded fiercely and rightfully, calling her out for not only damaging her own reputation but also making fun of the sport. What's worse than being known as a dirty player and a cheater?
Damn it, in the first 2 minutes of this game, this DiJonai Carrington stabbed Caitlin Clark with her fingernails right in the eye.
And now everyone who has ever praised her has to take it personally. DiJonai Carrington went from being a potential role model to being the epitome of what happens when desperation and stupidity collide. And let's be honest, she wasn't just physically attractive. In fact, she was a walking danger on the court, elbowing, shoving, and arguing with officials like she was trying out for WWE SmackDown instead of playing professional basketball. Take a look at her highlight reel from that game against the Dallas Wings D on May 15th, and I decided to abandon sportsmanship in favor of going full throttle with an unnecessary shove, as if she didn't realize she was playing basketball and thought she was going for a football tackle.
It's important that we point this out. One of the things that I brought up this morning in talking about Caitlin Clark is that some of the players, you want to use the word jealousy, fine. You want to use the word envy, fine.
And what's next, DJ, tackling the refs if they make a call against you? Because honestly, that wouldn't surprise me one bit. And don't even get me started on her spectacular foul stats, averaging 3.5 fouls per game, when the league average is 2.10. She's not just crossing the line, she's pole evading over it and planting a flag there. What a role model, right? Forget about actually playing basketball, DJ, and I teaching young athletes how to rack up penalties faster than points. That's her real talent. Showing the world how not to play. It's not even aggression at this point, it's desperation with a side of I wish I were actually good, but hey, let's add steroids to the mix and suddenly it all makes sense. You know how they say roids make people more aggressive? While Carrington must have been guzzling them like protein shakes. Her entire game revolves around charging at people like a bull on steroids. Oh wait, turns out she actually might have been one and all that muscle she's packed on.
Mocking Caitlin Clark on the court, played a very physical game with her back then too. And look, does Caitlin Clark do some histrionics, some flopping, and perhaps I'm giving them this out on what happened yesterday.
Hard work, right? Or perhaps just a quick shot in the locker room before a game. Who needs practice when you can pump yourself full of energy and pretend it's music dedication? And here's the funniest part. Her performance has been all over the place. One night, she scores 20 points, and the next, she can barely hit 8. That's not just inconsistency. That's called my secret juice ran out, and now I'm trash again. Seriously, Jai. If you're going to cheat, at least be good at it. Even your steroid usage is sloppy. It's almost as if she believed she was unstoppable and nobody would ever notice. But now that she's been exposed, rather than the crowd applauding her big plays, how about that for karma?
DiJonai has a history with Caitlin Clark. Like many of these girls in the WNBA, but she's at the top of the list.
Oh, and don't forget how she attempted to defend her aggressiveness. Oh, I'm just playing with passion, girl. Please, passion is blocking a shot or sinking a 3 under pressure. What you've been doing is throwing temper tantrums on the court and playing more like a street thug than a professional athlete. Now that steroids are involved, talk about scrapping the bottom of the barrel. If you need to cheat just to play your dirty little game, then you've got zero business being in this league. It's like she's been playing Monopoly with loaded dice and still ends up in jail.
Body contact, sometimes these guys are coming off screens and movements where they're just getting bodied a lot. I thought that was happening early. I thought AB was getting, not getting some calls down low that she probably should have.
Hence, here we are. Watch DiJonai Carrington's highlights to see how quickly she went from being a rising star to being punished for cheating. She is not only a disgrace to the league, but also a warning sign for those who want to know what not to do in order to be respected in the sports world. It's a masterclass in how to wreck your own career because she chose to focus on being bigger rather than better, and as a result, she's fallen harder than any athlete I've ever seen.
Most. The kind of stuff that's happening and has been happening over the last few months is because of Caitlin Clark. I got some of the stats in front of me to validate it. Because you see, I bring receipts, and I'll get to why I'm really pissed off in a few minutes.
The best part is that she's now sidelined and sitting on the bench, wondering where it all went wrong. Well, Jai, here's a hint. It started when you chose to disregard integrity. As a result of this suspension, you're not just benched. Your name will be associated with cheap shots and steroid scandals, not talent or skill. Congratulations, DiJonai. I hope the WNBA uses this as an example to show what happens when you try to take shortcuts, because no matter how many steroids you pump into your system, you can't fake real talent, and you sure as hell can't hide from the consequences when you get caught. Good riddance, Steve. Enjoy sitting on the sidelines where you belong. Maybe one day you'll get the time to reflect on how bad choices, bad sportsmanship, and cheating your way through the game have completely tanked what little respect you had left.